Why, hello, and welcome to another episode of First Chances with Chance. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about celebrity encounters. Now, it's not just going to be mine. There's also going to be some people online that, like, articles that I'll be reading and such, like I usually do, because I've only really met one celebrity. Which really wasn't a very pleasant encounter. So, yeah. So, let's go ahead and get right into the episode. I am, like, super tired still. I woke up at 8. I have a long day, so... Well, not really that long of a day. It's more of the fact that, like, I have to, like, film as well. So today's part of a long schedule. I have to go get my ear checked up because I did just recently get piercings a couple weeks ago. So, well, new piercings a couple weeks ago. So that will be part of the video. It's not gonna be that long of a video, to be honest, because I'm not going to that many places, but let's go ahead and get right into this episode. I'm tired. Very, very tired. Did they open up at 11 or 10? I think it's 11. So yeah, the person that I met was Manu Bennett. He's known for shows and movies like the Shannara Chronicles. What else is he known for? Oh, sorry. Like I said, still tired. So he's been in Spartacus, the Shannara Chronicles, Spartacus, Gods of the Arena. He was in Arrow. He was in Sinbad and the Minotaur. The Hobbit. He was in The Hobbit. I do not remember him. Death Race 2050. The Condemned, The Marine. Beta Test. Spartacus, Blood and Sand, which was the TV series. So he was in all of the Hobbit movies, all of Spartacus. He was in Lantana. I don't know what that is. 30 Days of Night. Pandora. Making Good Men. Water Rats. Bicky Wars. He was in quite a bit of shows and movies. So, I know Spartacus. Yeah, Spartacus was the. Was the was the series, yeah, not the movie. I think Spartacus had a movie, didn't they?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Series, shut up. I didn't ask for you. But yeah, it wasn't that great of an experience meeting him. here's really like the people that charge for photos are retarded. Like you get paid enough. Like I get that you're a celebrity and all, but that doesn't mean that you have to charge people to take photos with you. Like humble yourself, bud. Humble yourself. Like, what are you gonna charge everybody that took pictures of you while you were on stage? I don't think so. But you're gonna charge somebody for asking to take photos with you. Which is, oh my god. Which is really retarded. Because, like, just because you're not acting at the moment does not mean that you have to charge people to to make money in a different way, because that's not gonna work. Because God knows that I will not pay to take a photo with you. Just because you're good looking and all does not mean I'll pay to take a photo with you. And plus, he is very rude. Very, very rude. But yeah, that's pretty much my only celebrity experience. Celebrity that I've met that I really remember. Oh my god. I know that we had the original Wonder Woman living right down the road from us when we lived in Maryland, but I don't exactly remember meeting her. All I know that she was like really nice and everything. But that's because like she was one of the older actors. I mean, that really doesn't make any difference, but she was really nice. Let me search up who that was. That way I can tell you guys a name. So that was Diana Prince. Um, no, I'm talking about the actor. Linda Carter. So Linda Carter lived down the road from us in Maryland, and she was definitely like the energy that I get from her name is like a super sweet lady and everything too. So definitely a plus there. We definitely had good neighbors in Maryland. It wasn't like it was that bad. So for sure. But she definitely lived not like up the road like we were neighbors. It was more of like up the road in one of the richer communities. But like it wasn't like it was negative. It's definitely not like negative energy from though. So yeah, and we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. I do have to go and make some breakfast, and then I'll be right back. It is only 9:40, and I don't have to be to the bus stop till like 11:02. I mean, they do open up at 10, so if anything, I could always just catch the bus at 10:02. if I finish this episode early enough, but probably not. So I know I didn't have that many celebrity encounters, so let's go ahead and pull up an article. "24 stories from real people about celebs they met being either total jerks or angels on earth." Or do we want to do 38 celebrity encounter stories from BuzzFeed? I don't know. Let's see the 38 stories. So let's look at the 24 stories. Which one? Both are BuzzFeed. Oh. Which one calls out to me more? Well, this one begins with Chris Evans. Oh, and the place that I met, didn't really meet, but like met Manu Bennett was at SuperCon quite a few years ago. So hopefully he's changed up his act, because we don't want that. So I'm going with the 24 stories from real people about celebs they met being either total jerks or angels on earth. Meeting a celeb out in the wild can make for a pretty exciting story. A while back, I wrote about celebrity encounters people had at work. In the comments, the BuzzFeed community came through with a ton of super interesting stories about the times they met celebs. Now, the author of this is Kristen Harris, which is part of the BuzzFeed staff. I have no input on this article. So, yeah. So it says, disclaimer, these stories have not been verified. The users are supposedly speaking from their own experiences as alleged employees. Some submissions have been edited for length and or clarity. Chris Evans is genuinely a kind person and a good dog owner. I used to work at a doggy daycare a few years ago, and I live a town over from where he grew up, so he'd come down and see his parents and take his rescue dog, Dodger, there. He's really nice and clearly loves Dodger and is patient and nicer to staff than most people who took their dogs there. I treated him normally and pretended not to know who he was and didn't ask for photos or anything, though I have some photos with Dodger. Regardless, he's wealthy and could have acted entitled, but he just is a really nice guy. He wore sunglasses and a hat, though it was summer, and likely didn't want people to know who he was. But he's really just a nice dude who's obsessed with his rescue dog. 2. Years ago, Thomas Brody Sangster from Game of Thrones came into my restaurant while I was bartending. He was a late table and took his time. He and his date were the last table in the restaurant for at least 45 minutes. When he decides to order a dessert, that takes 15 to 20 minutes to make. However, before that dessert, he and his date needed to go outside for a smoke break. Every employee in the restaurant was just in the kitchen watching his table waiting for him to leave. He had the entire staff waiting on just him, and he left a 15% tip down to the penny, which honestly is annoying. Like, you have enough money to be able to afford at least 20%. Katherine Schwarzenegger came to my middle school to give a talk promoting a book she had written. Later in the day, as I was leaving class, she and her friends were leaving the restrooms at the bottom of the stairs. I was going down the stairs and slipped and fell at the bottom. Instead of saying anything, they all just started laughing and walked away. Rude. 0 out of 10, especially since I was legit in 7th grade. I was an extra on the movie Unbreakable when it was filmed in Philly. Samuel L. Jackson was super nice, hung with extras, and made sure everyone was okay and had waters. Well, that's sweet. I always got good energy from him. Super nice guy. It was at Comic-Con in St. Louis a few years ago. Milo Ventimiglia, sorry about butchering your name, from This Is Us was walking past me and I couldn't resist. I said, "Hi, Milo." He took my hand and called me darling. I almost passed out. What is time? My dad worked for a car dealership around 2009 or 2010, and they were asked to provide someone to drive a rental for Gene Simmons in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, for their coffee house opening. My dad was a top performer at the dealership, and since he was a teenager, absolutely worshipped Kiss. He was allowed to go, and he drove Gene around Myrtle Beach for 2 or 3 days, but also had to assist him. At one point, Gene told Dad to get him a Sharpie, and Dad gave him a red Sharpie. Gene threw it at him and screamed he only used silver Sharpies. That stood out in a couple other stories, but Dad said it was the coolest thing. Even with him being rude, Gene Simmons was a dick to one of his biggest fans for a whole weekend. Charlie Puth did a surprise acoustic mini show for my daughter's middle school class, about 30 kids, when he was in Nashville for his show because one of her classmates bought tickets online and got scammed. Oh, that was sweet. He found out about the girl getting scammed during a radio interview that morning, and immediately had his team on it. They contacted the school to see if it was okay to come and do this, and it was an experience my daughter will never forget. After his little show, he did 3 or 4 songs. He hung out with the kids a bit and gave them all hugs and high fives and took pics with everyone. Oh, and he gave the girl and her whole family tickets to his show that night. Well, that was sweet. I worked in a 5-star castle hotel in the west of Ireland for many years. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were never toppled from their spot of most welcome celebrity faces, but they were equaled by Sylvester Stallone. He is an absolutely beautifully spirited man who used to tidy his room before housekeeping came. That's believable. John Goodman grew up in an area of St. Louis with my aunt and uncle. St. Louis that my aunt and uncle live in. A long time ago, I went to their parish picnic and John Goodman was there. I don't think it was a paid experience or anything. Like, I think he legitimately wanted to go to it. I don't remember this, but apparently my uncle was holding my hand and I started having a meltdown because my shoes were untied. John Goodman was standing nearby and heard me crying and asked why I was crying. When I told him why, he asked my uncle to pick me up and put me on his shoulder so he could tie my shoes. Apparently, everyone was whispering, is the star of Roseanne really tying a 4-year-old's shoes right now? What a dude. Zachary Levi, Shazam, who's known for Shazam, Chuck, Tangled, etc., is incredibly kind, cheerful, and fun. My friend is a chef, and he said Levi complimented all the cooking several times and is basically one of the nicest dudes ever. He and his friends left a huge tip for everyone in the restaurant, including back of house. So we're going to go ahead and take another break. We're only on 11 out of 24. So we are almost done, but not done yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. My stomach is gurgling, so I definitely need some food. So I am back. I got my waffles. They are pumpkin spice. You know, it's that season, so I saw them at Aldi's. They were on clearance. There wasn't that many boxes. So, you know what? I was like, bet, let me try them. They're alright. But let's get back into the article. Why did I exit out of it? Okay. So, Sean Astin came to a bar/restaurant I worked at years ago. I've never watched Lord of the Rings, but had a huge crush on Mikey from the Goonies growing up. And Rudy is one of the greatest sports movies of all time. I was the manager of the restaurant and walked him around the property, and he was literally the sweetest man ever. He talked with everyone, took pictures with everyone, and was smiling the whole time. I was so happy to find out that he is so wonderful in real life. I've met Stephen Amell from Arrow a few times, and he has always been really kind and seemed genuinely interested in the people he met. The most notable was at the party for the premiere of Code 8. We got to go because we contributed to the crowdfunding for the movie. He stopped to talk to my wife and I, and it came up that her mom just got diagnosed with cancer. My wife asked him to make a video of him saying, "Fuck cancer," his charity. Instead, he escorted us to a quiet place to record a personal video encouraging her. We also talked about movies. He had just seen Avengers Endgame the previous night, and he insisted I tell him everything and spoil the movie because he would be too busy to see it anytime soon. The next year I saw a clip of him at a Comic-Con telling the story of how he made a fan spoil the movie for him. I was like, that was me. Oh, that was cute. See, stories like this really make my day. Like, actors being sweet and everything, unlike Manu Bennett. Like, ever since that incident, like, SuperCon, I've never really liked him. Even when I was watching the Shannara Chronicles, I was just like, you asshole. Like, come on. You're a normal person. Why are you going to charge for somebody to meet you? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. I used to work at a dark little cocktail bar in Midtown New York, and we would get a lot of celebrities. My favorite high-profile guests from there was Bill Hader, Will Forte, and Paul Rudd, who came in after working on SNL. They were all so kind, drank nice scotch, and tipped really well. The biggest asshole who came into my bar was the guy who plays Will on Will and Grace, Eric McCormick. He ordered a beer, drank about half, then got up and left. He didn't say anything about coming back, that he needed to step outside or cover his drink. 20 minutes went by, so I threw out his beer. He came back and pitched an absolute fit at me. I ended up having to buy him a new beer, and the old warm one I tossed, and he didn't tip. Well, I mean, he didn't say anything, so how are you supposed to know? Usually when it's like, when I was busting tables, I would usually give it about 10 minutes. If they didn't come back, then I would bust their table. Especially if none of the servers said, oh, they didn't say that they were leaving. My husband had a 14-hour layover in London and was walking around doing some sightseeing. While crossing one street, he saw Jack McBrayer, Kenneth the Page from 30 Rock. My husband got that, hey, I know who you are, look in his eyes. Mr. McBrayer looked back with a head nod and a, yep, I am who you think I am, look. They both walked on with their day. I work at a restaurant in Hawaii. I've had the pleasure of meeting Tamara Mowry. She is so beautiful in person and was really sweet when I mentioned to her that I'm a big fan as I was assisting her. I met Gaten Matarazzo from Stranger Things in a hotel lobby in Rhode Island once. He was super sweet to my sister and I and took pictures with us. Well, it's known that a lot of the actors on Stranger Things are super sweet, especially the kids, well, teenagers. Yeah. I met Dove Cameron at an event, but I had no idea who she was. My boss was chatting up Kristen Chenoweth while we stood around awkwardly, but Dove introduced herself and complimented my outfit. What type of event were you at? And what type of person are you? Because, like, what do you do for work? Because that would make sense if you were at an event with Dove Cameron and Kristen Chenoweth. The one movie that I know that they were both in is Descendants, which I know, 23-year-old, but I will always be that Disney kid. My grandparents um got me a stock with them, and each year or so they send me a check with money. I mean, I haven't been to Disney in a while. I was supposed to go before, like, on my birthday before, like, that same year that COVID hit. I was planning on going and everything before it hit. I was planning on, like, me and my ex going at that time, which I'm glad I'm not with him because he was an asshole. Um, don't want to get into it. That would be for another episode. Unless I've already gone over it in the boyfriend's episode. I think I did a boyfriend's episode. I'm not quite sure. But I was supposed to go to Disney and that year, and because of COVID, I was not able to. Plus, I totaled my car. So, but that'll be for another episode later on. So, but Dove Cameron is always the, like, sweetest energy, all of that. She's a sweet person. Have not met her, but I can definitely say that she's a sweet person. Sad to say, Missy Elliott was so rude to the staff at a Guitar Center, Tatawa, New Jersey. She seemed annoyed that she wasn't getting special treatment and made them stay open late because she couldn't decide which synthesizer to get. Wow. But let's go ahead and eat some more of my waffle. I've only literally taken a bite. When she finally decided they wheeled out the giant thing, then she complained that the cardboard box had a scratch on it and made them take it back to the back and get a different one. Rude and disrespectful. So I used to work in a retail chain. This guy came up to me one day asking for help finding headphones super politely, and we chatted a bit. I remember thinking this was probably one of the nicest customers I've ever had. I thought nothing more of it until he handed me his credit card and it said Dana Carvey. Or Dana Carvey. I hadn't even recognized him. I was floored and got so starstruck I became speechless. He was so super nice and down to earth the whole time. Party on, Garth. So I'm going to go ahead and take another quick break. Probably finish one of my waffles and then be right back with the finishing experiences. So, yeah. So, I definitely did not finish that waffle. I just came right back. I wasn't his server, but Emilio Estevez came into the restaurant I used to work at. He was super nice. He stayed until closing and offered to take photos with anyone who wanted one on his way out. And he invited the staff to take photos too. Definitely nice. Don't know who you are, but he's definitely nice. I had a wonderful interaction with Judd Nelson from The Breakfast Club on a set. It was the nicest interaction I've had with a famous person. I was an extra in a film of his. Wardrobe had all of the women in short skirts, basically not wardrobe warm enough for 50 degrees as we were filming outside at night. And in between takes, of course, everyone would put on layers, but wardrobe continued to repeat themselves to us like we were children. You know you have to lose the layer when we're rolling again, right? Duh. Judd saw me shivering and he stopped wardrobe from repeating themselves an unnecessary time and said, "She knows, they all know. Here, have my jacket." He let me wear his suit jacket the rest of the night in between takes. That was sweet. He was smoking and also offered me a cigarette, but I don't smoke. Wardrobe also didn't bother me again. I helped Alfonso Ribeiro from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when I worked at a pet store. He just got a puppy and needed everything. Food, bed, toys, etc. I have met a few celebrities and he was by far the nicest. He had a lot of questions and would listen intently to my answers. See, I love guests that actually take the time to listen to me when I'm going over makeup, skincare, and even hair care with them. Not really hair care per se, because I'm not really fully into hair care. It's more of skincare, body care, and makeup that I do more, that I know a lot more of. Now, see, I do know some about the hair care and everything, but I don't usually venture off into other brands than the ones that I have. Now, the Target doesn't sell the brand that I use anymore. I mean, the product that I use anymore, so I do have to change it up to another product once I'm done with this bit. But I definitely love when people like to listen to me and get when I'm giving them information. So, yeah. And finally, we saw Robin Williams at the airport luggage carousel schlepping his own luggage. I don't know what that means, but okay. My brother-in-law, who was also on the same flight and picking up his stuff, saw him and went over and had a nice chat with him. He said Robin Williams was super, super nice. So that concludes the article. I'm going to go ahead and take another couple bites of my waffle. And a sip of my water before I give you the outro. So, I hope you guys liked this episode. Don't forget to text or leave a voicemail to 561-320-7085. Again, text or leave a voicemail to 561-320-7085. With any of your guys' experiences. If you guys have any celebrity experiences or encounters that you guys want to let me know about, go ahead. You can also DM First Chances with Chance on Instagram. Or if you guys are watching the video portion of this, just comment down below. Bye guys! Love you!